Welcome back to my channel, everybody. I'm Severely Mame. Welcome to part 3 of my 4-part series on making a human hair wig. Today I'm going over how I sewed in the closure that was lace and the tracks. I also will touch on sewing in the elastic band and how I did this whole process. Now, when I was watching videos, I was struggling to figure out how much hair I needed. I was told that I was going to need 4 bundles for any length over 20 inches to do an entire head of hair. So I bought 4 bundles, then I couldn't find a definitive answer on how to space out the 4 bundles onto the wig. So here, I ended up going with starting around a 1/2 inch, somewhere between a 1/2 and a 1/4 of an inch, and spacing each track in about that distance. And as I got closer and closer to the closure, all of the rows got closer and closer. So once I got to here, every row was about a 1/4 of an inch apart. From the nape to below the ear, that's all around 1/2 an inch, maybe a little less, more towards a 1/4 of an inch. I really didn't know how to gauge and space this. I feel like I have a better understanding now. But a 1/4 of an inch with 4 bundles, getting tighter as you move up, should leave you with enough hair and space to fit the bulk of your hair. Now, I am super pleased with how this came out. I've been wearing this wig for a few weeks now. And I'm very happy with it. I hope you find this video helpful. Right now I'm going to show you the stitch that I used for all of this and then show you the rest of the process. Okay, so I wanted to show you the stitch pattern that I used because you can't really see it great in the footage that I have. This is not the wig cap I used. I obviously would not be starting in the middle of the wig, but I just wanted to show you really what I did. So first I took the weft and I pinned it where I wanted to go. Obviously, right now, this is not how I position things because this is just being stitched to this cap and then taken off. So I put it on. I have threaded and knotted the end of my thread on this curved needle. I can link below the thread that I purchased. And what you're gonna do is it's a variation on the blanket stitch. So you're gonna go from the top and then under the weft is how I started it, just like this. And then I go through the same area again. This is just for starting it. You don't do this every time. You don't do that every time. You do this part every time. So now that I've brought the needle through, I'm going to wrap this around 3 times to knot it. Now, this is complicated because this is not a wig cap that things should be sewn to. So then, I moved over through the wig cap, under the weft, 3 times around, and pull. Now, this is creating a knot at every step. And that is good because, you know, if you're especially using vintage styles, you're gonna be brushing your hair. If one of these threads were to snap in between 2 stitches, it's not going to give you a problem of the entire weft coming off. So I'll show you that once more. Through the cap, under the weft, wrap 1, 2, 3. And then pull tight. So that's the stitch that I use on the entire wig, closure and everything. And so it has all of these knots going all the way around. Okay, so I've shown you the stitch that I'm working with here. I initially struggled so much with getting this started. My nails were too long and everything felt so slippery and I was struggling so much but it wasn't the technique I was struggling with. It was like all myself. One of my nails broke in this process and I cut them all off. Obviously, if you've watched these videos, my nails were terrible the entire time. And it was because I was like submerging them in water, dyeing it, and things like that. And I kept just forgetting to take off my nail polish, even though it looked so bad. And I am here to apologize for that. I am sewing on the closure here. Now, this closure I just lined up with the original closure that was in the wig cap and stitched it over it. It was very easy. This was like something I did not struggle with at all. Now, I linked this cap that I made in, or I linked this cap that I fit, not made, um, in one of the other videos, the one about fitting this cap. So you can find that in the description there. But here I am just hand stitching the entire closure on. I have it held back with the duckbill clips just to keep the hair out of my way as I'm going. But this was a quick and easy little process that was a nice, strong way to start. I felt like I had done something correctly. So here it is. You can see all the knotted stitches all the way around on this cap. This was a great start. It made me feel like I was doing something right. Now I am moving in on actually sewing in the tracks to this wig. So what I did was I kept the wefts in their long lengths. I started with the 22-inch wefts that I have and pinned down from side to side like the length that I wanted there. Some people use the zigzag method, which is when you don't cut the edges at all and you just zigzag it back and forth. I wanted to cut the edges because my idea was that I was going to fold them under all the way around so I had fullness around the edge still. Now, in the future, I'm not going to do this on the back of the cap, but I will continue to do this on the sides by the ears. But that's another story. I will go into that hopefully in a future wig video when I get to use that method. So here I am just stitching on the first weft. This is at the base, the nape of the neck. I've said this was the 22-inch weft. I pin it on and then hand stitch across using the altered blanket stitch method. It is a lot of work, but I feel very confident that this wig is going to last me quite a long time and not give me any trouble. I'm going to give you all of the footage I have of me sewing on these wefts just in case you want to watch. It may not be super interesting because it is me just sewing, but you get an idea of how I placed them, how I sewed them, and just what the process was like for me, which may be different for everyone doing it, but this is what I did. If you have any suggestions on how I should change things, please let me know down below, because this is not going to be my last wig build. I really enjoyed this process, no matter how long and tedious it was. The result is just very worth it. So I am going to let you guys see how I continued on with this wig. I do some jumps here because it is a monotonous, just like me sewing in tracks over and over and over. So I move you through to some different places in the wig. Now, I mentioned in the coloring video that I had one bundle that did not match in color. And I didn't feel like it was super noticeable, and then I felt like it was extremely noticeable, and I kept going back and forth, and I wasn't 100% sure what I wanted to do. Now, this was the 22-inch bundle, so I used that all up completely on pretty much the nape working towards the under the ear. When I finished the 22-inch bundle, then I had the bundle that did not match and the bundle that did, both in 20 inches. So what I decided to do, because I was doing the method where I cut each strand, I was layering the bundles with the correct color and then incorrect color, correct color and then incorrect color as I worked my way up. And I think that this actually gave me a nice blend to where it almost looks like it's maybe highlighted a little, but all in all, it looks pretty good. And the color difference did not matter as much as I thought it was going to initially. As I mentioned, the wefts get closer and closer as I move up. When I got towards the top and I felt like I knew I had enough hair, I went and I stitched 2 rows of the weft close to the closure because I did them right up next to it, very close, so there wouldn't be any gapping around there. And this is, you can kind of see that this is right up against it in this video. And then I did a second row under that, and that I felt like gave me a really good coverage around the closure. I wanted to give you an idea of my spacing. So here's the inside of the wig. I knew that 4 bundles was going to be a lot of hair, but I actually had no idea how far it was going to go. Now I think I have a better idea. These are all very close together, especially towards the top. So this is a full wig. There's one row right here. I realized I could have put a little bit more hair there, which I could always put that extra track I have in. But it is very full. Now I'm going to take all these ends and stitch them onto the inside of the cap. This is because when I'm going to be blending my hair in, I want to have fullness to cover that edge. So I'm going to take all of those and hand stitch them in to the inside. I have to do that all the way around. And then I'm going to trim the old lace that is attached to this wig and just leave the 4x4 lace that I added, and then I have to sew in the elastic band. So what I'm doing here is I'm turning these unfinished edges and putting them to the inside of the wig. I'm just hand stitching them down with a little bit of a tack. I've realized this one up here shows from the front, so I might undo the top 2 there and cut the top 2 over on this side shorter so I have less to cover. But I'm just taking these and tacking them down onto the inside so that there's fullness covering the edges of my hair. Next, I'm also going to do, what I'm going to do is cut out the old lace from the inside of this wig because there is a new lace in there ready to be worn. Okay, so the last sewn step I had to do was adding the elastic band. This is a 2-inch elastic in like a nude taupe kind of color. You can mostly find this in black, but I wanted to go to match my cap a little bit more. And what I did was stitch it in to the edge of the lace. I have to trim that thread still. I just finished this. I'm going to link a video in the description on sizing and how to do this. It took me a second to kind of figure it out. You just kind of measure the band to your head a little bit, like where you know the lace is going to land, and then you just stretch the elastic a little bit around your head from side to side, and then cut it and stitch it in. The nice thing about this is you're just sewing it. You're just sewing it by hand. If it doesn't fit right the first time, you can take it out and do it again. The roll of elastic that I got was fairly large. I can link that below also. But all in all, I put this on already and I was like, oh, okay, this is a game changer. I understand why people do this. So I'm very excited. I am now officially done with all of the sewing on this wig because I have finished the sides here, and I decided to go in and actually trim down these last two because they were very visible when I wrapped them. So I trimmed them down and put the fray check on them, and hopefully that will stop it from shedding. Next, what I'm going to do is actually cut this lace, but that will be part of the styling video, which is up next. Okay, so I have finished installing all of the hair into this wig. I have about maybe a 9-inch, maybe 12-inch piece left that I legitimately have no idea where to put it into this wig. So I've sewn all the tracks in. I think the color looks good. It's, you know, towards the bottom, it's a little more on the wispy side, but it's gonna get a cut. So this is where it's at with everything just sewn in and nothing else done. I have a lot more work to do, but this I think was the longest process. So I'm very, very excited that it's finally done. I'm happy with how it looks. It's really looking crazy right now because of the texture that the hair is dried to, but when it's styled, I don't think it's going to be this huge. But I'm very happy so far. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Severely Mame. Make sure to like and subscribe. If you would love to see some exclusive content from me, follow the link below for my Patreon. Thank you again for watching. I will see you all very soon. Part 4 should be coming out in the next few days because I got a little behind on this one. So keep an eye out for the styling video coming soon.